Okay, so now we're going to watch and react to a Hitler conspiracy theory on Joe Rogan. I probably shouldn't say the H word. We'll go down in the algorithms.
What are you gonna call him then?
They talk about it in here anyway. Yeah, H, uh, hepatitis. We'll call 'em. Shocked by hepatitis conspiracy theory. Oh, I'm just joking. Okay, but yeah, okay, let's just play it.
What is Finding Hitler all about? This is a show that you're on, and it's on A&E. Is that what it's on?
Yeah, A&E is the parent network. It airs on History Channel, and we just had our third season that just finished airing.
What's the thought process behind this? Is it legit? Because a lot of people are like, Finding Hitler. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They found Hitler. He died.
Yeah, I mean,
Not really?
we don't know.
Right.
So the story, like, and what you're taught in the history books is that, yeah, Hitler and his wife, that Ava Braun, they, right when they knew, like, the war was over and they were about to be captured and whatever, they were in a bunker, and the story is they each took a cyanide pill or whatever, a poison pill, and they died, and then the Russians got there, or no, the Russians and the Americans got there at the same time, and the Russians wanted to take Hitler's body because when the Russians got there, all there was two burned bodies, and they were told it was Hitler, and that's what people were told. And then, but later on, and the Russians still say this to this day, that like really that they tested the remains, and it wasn't Hitler.
Yeah, they say he escaped to South America.
So you know about this already. Yeah, so this guy's the guy that like kind of broke this open, and the shocking thing to me is when he's talking about these like German villages where no one even speaks Portuguese or Spanish or what is it? Yeah.
This still has the German, the Nazi sign and stuff, like medals and stuff. From
Oh
the
yeah.
Black
Oh
Hands.
yeah. Yeah.
I saw the documentary about it.
Yeah, I seen one about it too. It's crazy, but okay. But yeah, this guy had a show called Hunting Hitler.
I mean, this isn't like Ancient Aliens. This is they declassified a bunch of documents. Both the Israelis, the British, and the Germans and Americans in the past 20 years have been consistently declassifying documents. And there were a bunch of specifically FBI documents that we were spending millions and millions of dollars actively searching for Hitler after the war.
Really?
Yeah. Like millions of dollars.
That's crazy.
Like Hoover was like, no, send more FBI agents to.
But at the same time, they told Russia, here's their dead bodies. You know what? So why would you still be looking? Because like Russia lost literally 20 million people died in World War II from Russia. Like Russia sacrificed, and they tell you America won the war, but it's not like that, man. It's not like that. It's like Russia sacrificed and kind of did a lot more when it compared to like the lives lost for sure. But America sure helped or whatever. I think they just got in it at the end to act like they beat. Yeah. Kind of like when you're done something and then uh, and then someone asks you if you need help, which I do all the time. But anyways, okay, here we go.
To South America, to North Africa, go to the Canary Islands, go to Spain, trying to find out where this guy went. Tons of real FBI documents with real leads, with real informants, some first eye accounts saying that they physically. So, anyways, that's the show. Is us trying to find out, sift through reality and the fiction of the allure, the mystery of that asshole.
So what's the official story? The official story is that he killed himself, right?
Yep.
He killed himself in the bunker with Ava Braun.
Yep.
And is there any photographic evidence?
But before this, like apparently a whole bunch of Nazis escaped to Argentina during World War II, and but the shocking thing to me is like I never heard of a journalist break this story. Like this guy, like I told you, this Jamie Kennedy, the guy he's interviewing, it's like this guy was like I said, he was in the army, and then he was he's a UFC fighter currently. Went during this interview, and it's like he's the one that like broke this story, and it's like where's all the journalists? Like, where's all the real reporters? How come they didn't tell us this in school? Because they should because the first time I even heard about this, oh, a whole bunch of Nazis escaped to Argentina, and they there's towns and it's they're all Nazis there and stuff. It's like that it blew my mind. Like, how did they not like tell you this stuff? How come you got to find out on Joe Rogan? That's why Joe Rogan's popular, because like and but whatever. It like he should. I don't know. You learn more watching Joe Rogan than you did in school. Anyways, here we go.
Of his death or anything.
So what? The Russians got the body and they got his skull. And when they brought it back to Moscow, nobody has ever been able to independently verify who and what this body is. They let one genetic test occur, and the body with the bullet holes that they said was Hitler, and have said, and that's the narrative, that's the story, that's all the eyewitness accounts that are even in the vicinity of collaborating with each other and corroborating each other's testimony. Like the closest version, because none of it seems to be very accurate, is that okay, here's Hitler's skull, and when they did the genetic testing, it's that of a 35-year-old woman. So like, oh, well, this isn't Hitler, but they've said for the past.
But like, so the deal was Russia was going to be, get Hitler, whether war crimes or whatever, because they had the rights to hold him after, put him in their jail, whatever. But embarrass him. But so it's like either the states intentionally gave them the wrong body, which is pretty evil. You know what I mean? Like you guys are, or they knew it wasn't him.
Exactly.
Like
maybe they made a deal with Hitler.
well, duh. That's what I think. Well, that's what I think, and it's like because man, like some certain people got rich off World War II. Like people were financing both sides. You know what I mean? And like. Who knows? Maybe it was set up from the beginning, but who knows, right? Yeah. It's the world we live in. Nothing. Yeah, I'm surprised Joe Rogan's shocked by anything anymore. But this is shocking. Okay.
80 years that this is Hitler. So, okay. First, before we start throwing stones at Russia, let's go back to 1945, April, in Berlin. You have the Allies coming in, wrecking shop, dropping bombs, blowing everything up they can in every single which way. You have the Russians coming in from the opposite direction. They don't even have enough guns to arm all their soldiers. So if they have 200 guys, or 200,000 guys, they have 100,000 guns. If the guy in front of you dies, you just pick up his gun. That's what's happening in April of 1945 in Berlin. So the noose is tightening. There is it is chaos, anarchy, pandemonium. This is hell on earth, is Berlin, 1945. So I don't know if you could get a real story, the way that we do it now, where we have, this forensic experts that come in and document everything. And we look at all the different testimonies, say, this is exactly how, it's not CSI. This is 1945 Berlin.
Nothing.
It's crazy. So I don't know.
So there was no.
He's just saying like they had no way to tell if it was Hitler or not, the body. But it's like, even like if you're a homicide detective, like if the body's burned to a crisp, you can't even tell if it's a fucking male or female. Like you got to be asking questions right then and there. And if the states got the real body, like that's just they're just evil. That's evil. Like they had a deal. So I don't know. And they probably made a deal, let Hitler escape, and just said, yeah, here he is, because they knew, there was no way to make sure it was Hitler until they didn't know they'd have DNA in the future. You know what I'm saying? So I think after they did the DNA test, they were like, fucking pieces of shit. The states acts like the innocent victim and just tries to heal the world, but they're like I shouldn't say, but the world's terrorists. A lot of people think so. Everyone, everywhere other than in like the United States, everyone thinks they're horrible what they do to other countries. Okay, but I don't want to get into that. So let's keep going. We're Canadian and we're neutral and we love everyone. Okay.
Oh, like absolute proof.
No.
And a lot of Nazis did escape and go to South America.
The majority of anyone with power. The Nuremberg trials were not a witch hunt, but it was to close a chapter so we could start moving forward with communism. That's what it was. The threat of fascism, the threat of Hitler, the threat of killing all the Jews, the threat of world domination by the Nazis, that threat's gone. What's the next threat?
Communism.
It's communism.
Right.
So that had to be a closed chapter of our history so we could focus our resources and our efforts to what inevitably was going to, I mean, the wall goes up. We have
Right.
East and West Berlin. We're already looking at Korea. I mean, this happens almost overnight.
Right, very quickly.
When Patton's like, no, homies, we need to go all the way to Moscow. This is not the end of our war. And we didn't listen to him. We then have been, fighting communism for the past 75 years.
So the ones with power that went to South America, I know a bunch of them went to Argentina, but they think they went to Honduras and a few other places. Where do they think they wound up?
So what you had in South America, both Chile and Argentina back to back had fascist regimes. You had Perón, who was part of the Nazi party starting all the way back into the mid-30s. He's the president of Argentina. So the Red Cross of Argentina. So starting all the way back into the mid-30s. He's the president.
He was saying he invented communism, but he was the president of Argentina, not a Nazi or whatever. That was right before the Nazis. Before the Nazis came there, this guy was the president that was like invented Nazism. He was already the president, so he loved and had sympathy for them. I think that's what he's saying. So he invited them to come in during the war, when you know what I mean, and
president of Argentina. So the Red Cross, they were there was about 3 different rat lines that guys were able to successfully get out of Europe into South America. And there's no question that we're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands of high-ranking Nazis made it there.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. And I'm not talking like little soldiers. I'm talking high-ranking Nazis, officers, guys like Joseph Mengele and Adolf Eichmann. I mean, these are the most disgusting, despicable humans to exist at the time. If Hitler is dead, Joseph Mengele is the guy that would take syringes full of blue ink.
How come that isn't in the history books? That tens of thousands of them went to Argentina, including that guy Mengele. That's the fucking crazy doctor that would like do the crazy tests on people and shit, on twins and like just all kinds of shit. Man, they were crazy.
And if they tell the truth,
Mengele was like the worst, and he escaped to there too. And he's saying these high-ranking, it wasn't, but tens of thousands. Bruh, how did the states not know? Maybe they set the whole fucking war up. This is fucking crazy.
Ink and inject them. You have.
That's their whole economy. I know they profit for more, bro. Look at Ukraine. They spent. I see it on the news that one of the balloons they shot down in the past couple days was like a fucking hobby balloon that this like high school or something made, you know what I mean, with the teachers, and they were all sad that the US shot it down, right? They weren't sure, but they were pretty sure because they lost and it's like, and it's literally fucking $300,000 for this fucking missile, this Sidewinder missile, American dollars. They used to shoot the fucking thing down, and it was like they said it was like a $20 balloon. It's probably more than that, right?
Yeah, man.
But still, 300,000 for a missile. It's like as if you know what I mean. They're worth that much. Like, give me a fucking. They're probably worth like 20 grand. But that's how they just fucking rob the wealth of America. what I think should happen is like if you're gonna have corporations, then every employee of said corporation should have like a share of the profits. Period. That's the only way, Otherwise, you got to break up the fucking corporations because it's gonna be like six companies are gonna control everything in the United States, like all the clothes, everything. You know what I mean? And then that way they can set the prices on everything. So instead of like, they made that law so that what's it called, the monopoly law or whatever, you can't, because of that one gas station owner. He bought every like gas station and gas company in the United States, so he could just dictate whatever the fucking price of gas is every single day. That's why they broke it up, and that's why they have the monopoly law. But now instead of like one company buying all the gas stations, it's like one company buying, as much as, half the gas stations, but then they'll buy get also like half the vehicles, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They just changed it, and they got to make a law against that now. That like one company can't own like 50% of trade of like like of TVs. I don't know, whatever. We'll edit that little spiel out later. Okay, here we go.
You have blue eyes, Joe, or you have
No.
brown eyes.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can make them blue.
Oh, wow.
And then take twins and start torturing them to see if one would feel the pain. That's Joseph Mengele. I mean, that's the guy that then in South America was helping.
Did you hear me? He said he'd work on twins and like harm one to see if the other felt pain and shit. Like that's fucked up.
High-ranking Argentinians have abortions, and he set up. Have you seen the movie Colonia?
No.
About Colonia Dignidad, which is. If you're listening right now, I almost warn you not to Google it because it was a torture camp that was started by Joseph Schaefer, a Nazi, and Joseph Mengele, the doctor of death that escaped trial in Nuremberg and made it at the behest of Perón into Argentina. He set up the hospital at Colonia Dignidad, which was another safe haven for more Nazis in South America. Golda Meir and Ben Gurion, the presidents of Israel, they took the gloves off and they were just sending assassins to try to find these people and kill them. But what you got in South America were isolated German-only communities. You could go into Bariloche, Argentina, and I'd be like, "Buenos dias, amigos," and they're like, "Guten Morgen." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I meant good morning." Yeah, sorry, it's 2017, right? I thought we spoke Spanish here.
So, in 2017, you were there, and they were speaking German.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, I don't look very. I might look more European than I do. So it's just them seeing me walking down the street and be like,
wow.
Yeah. And there's tons of communities. I mean, if you go to Colonia Dignidad, which is now called Villa Bavaria, the Bavarian village, it is only German.
Whoa.
In the center of Chile, in the mountains of Chile. Like there's no Spanish being spoken there. It is exclusively German.
And these are the descendants of Nazis.
Powerful Nazis.
Holy shit. And this is going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are these communities like? I mean, what's their ideology? Are they...
I mean, they're pretty white.
Yeah, but are they like... I mean, do they espouse Nazi values or...
Not openly. So, Colonia Dignidad...
Save their dad's uniform.
If you look at the second generation, there's a bunch of... So, it was a huge problem for Chile that they tried to hide for years. And they got so much power from the torturing that they did at Colonia Dignidad on a whole bunch of other... high-ranking South American dictators that they are almost untouchable. And this is, I mean, you'd blow your mind if you look into this, Joe. You'd love it. But the second generation, the kids, like the grandkids, sometimes they're even more fanatical than the original generation. Have you ever seen this? Where like if somebody's away from, like when you travel abroad, man, it's so cool to get into the culture and get into the food and get into the, like you're dancing this style and you love the flag and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to a soccer game because we don't go to soccer games in America, and then I'm gonna go. But then maybe after like 2 months, you kind of miss home, and then like a year, like you really miss home, and then 10 years. Like you really, really miss home. And you see the same thing in the United States where it's not really a perfect assimilation. It's not the melting pot where you see generations that are espousing to be more like their ethnic heritage than they are American. You know, they're flying the Irish flag and like, I'm Irish. Well, it's just times 1,000 with these communities because they're exclusively German.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Kind of weird.
So exclusively German and really missing home.
Yeah. Yeah. So
70 years later.
the second generations I was talking about, some of them came to the United States and were high-ranking white supremacists that are now in jail, in prison, for their racial crimes.
And they came out of South America.
They came out of Colonia Dignidad. They came out of Bariloche. They came out of
Holy shit.
Cordoba. They came out of Misiones. They came out of, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. So that's the show, Hunting Hitler.
Fucking A, man.
It's a trip.
How many people are we talking about all told in South America that come out of this? I mean, tens of thousands went there, but how many German communities and how big are they?
Yeah, we maybe have 50 German communities.
50.
A
How many people, if you had to guess?
few 100,000.
Holy shit. A few 100,000
Yeah.
descendants of Nazis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And man, it's weird when you walk into somebody's parlor and it's like you're stepping back in time into Europe. Like I'm walking in, it's 2017 and I'm walking in Buenos Aires, Argentina into somebody's parlor and all of the tile is European and all the style and all the art is very German. You know, we have like deers and you know, like not like red stags. We're talking German everything, things that Hitler loved. And that's the style and that's everything. And then they come out and like with white gloves, they're holding their grandpa, their
When used as nouns, buck means a male deer.
Alexa, what does Reichstag mean? German word.
Moviecultists.com. A stag is another word for a buck or a male deer.
Okay, whatever. I know. The Nazis burned down. It was what do you call it? An inside job. They lit their own Reichstag on fire because and that's how they kind of started World War II. They blamed it on someone else, and that's how they started the war. And it was the first like inside job. What do they call it? Like the military operation. I forget. It's an inside job or whatever. False flag. False flag, yeah. But anyways.
grandfathers.
Oh. And thanks for nothing, Alexa. Alexa, thanks for nothing.
I'd like to know what went wrong.
I
Give me more details. Just say, I have feedback.
have feedback. Alexa, I have feedback.
Okay, what's the feedback?
You're fucking retarded. Oh, I hope we don't get in trouble for the R word. Just ruined it all. Just so we'll edit it out. I mean, whatever.
Memory box, and inside of it are his war medals from, you know, when he was in the SS or when he was, and it is the respect, the I don't even know the
Reverence.
right. Yeah, I mean it's like it's like this is a gift from the Pope that they're holding in their hands. White gloves. No, I can't. First of all, Tim can't touch it. But I can appreciate it. And then they tell me the story of every single one of these things and how he got there and how he then went and worked for the Buenos Aires News.
You can't touch anything.
No, they wouldn't. No, because
You're dirty.
I'm dirty.
Dirty American.
Look at this.
You're too brown.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
So we followed the first two seasons. It was really just unraveling the rumors of what happened to Hitler. The third season was my favorite because I actually got to do real work. They said, okay, I got to the second season. I got to bring in more special forces guys, a CIA targeter, Nadia, who helped my unit kill Zarqawi in 2006. That this is the team that is now looking at real evidence, trying to figure out, okay, how did we find bin Laden? How did we find Zarqawi? We looked at their associates and we looked at how they moved. We looked at how they communicated. We looked at what routes they were using to get to and from places. And then we just started tightening the noose. And that's exactly what we did in this third season was, okay, let's start following the Adolf Eichmanns. Let's start following the Joseph Mengeles. And let's start following the Skorzynskis. Hitler's personal bodyguard that was a colonel in the SS that went on to work for everybody after the war fighting. I mean, fascists do not like communists. So this guy was working for everybody to include the CIA fighting fascism in South America or fighting communism as a fascist in South America in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
I'll be right back, sir. So anyway, you...
Whoa.
Creepy stuff.
I gotta fix that stupid thing tomorrow. Oh, dude.
Well, she's gonna jump off of it. Off of
She
it.
ran out, she ran right to her thing and is peeing. She's peeing now for about 5 seconds.
That's good.
Girl. Pepito, you go pee. You're the one that wanted to go out. Go pee.
Think.
Go pee.
Come here.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, guys. Dogs.
We're up to there now.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, hunting Hitler.
Are there any legitimate eyewitness accounts of Hitler in South America? Or potentially legitimate?
Absolutely, potentially.
Whoa.
Yep. Eyewitness accounts. I saw him get off a boat. I saw him meet here. And if it was just some person saying it, it's almost meaningless.
Right.
But if you look at the context of who this person is, the wealth that they have that they shouldn't have, like, can you explain how you got so rich in 2 generations? You know, like, okay, your grandpa got here from Germany in 1946. That's weird. And he's on a legitimate visa with an Argentinian passport. Also weird. And now he's a war refugee that's now worth millions of dollars. How does this work? But people, and then this is the hard part.
And also like the I guess the Argentinian president or whatever was like a really, really good friend of Hitler's too, and like he'd always visit there and stuff. Like they were really tight. It wasn't
Why
just
didn't we get
yeah.
taught in
I know,
school?
man. I know.
Bro,
I know because it's just fake. It's like the stuff they teach you in school. They kind of thought back then like you'll never find out the truth. Like no one ever thought the internet would come out. You know, and like I said, Tesla was one of the biggest things that even me to this day I was shocked they never taught about Tesla in school. It's just whoever the billionaires want you to learn is what they'll teach you.
maybe they are hiding some like inventions that were made
Oh,
by
oh.
Tesla.
Of course, well, they probably are. And like I said, it's not even a conspiracy theory. Donald Trump's uncle was in the CIA or FBI, and he was the main head guy responsible for cleaning out Tesla stuff and taking it. That's why a lot of people think like Trump's a time traveler or something because he's got some secret technology that we don't know about. But
Maybe
okay,
he hired some group of people like to do it for him.
for sure.
Research, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
People want to be
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
connected to significant events. And especially in small rural areas of the world, developing areas, like there's so little happening. They want to be attached to something massive, and like the fact that they saw a U-boat land on this beach, and the hatch opened, and these cars were sitting there, and they were doing Morse code, and this guy gets off, and he had this little mustache. You're like, well, but U-boats can't beach. That's not how that works.
Right.
You know,
right,
and but you know what they're trying to do. They just want to be connected.
Yeah.
So, and now we're removed 70 to 80 years from the facts. It has been painful to try to use real science, real investigative tools to try to sift through this lore. You know,
what do you think happened? I mean, you've been studying this for how long now?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
If you had a guess, if you had like $1 million, you got to put it on one side or another. Did he go there?
Yeah.
Whoa. Jesus Christ.
I would say, man, it's and that's the first time I've ever said it flat out like that. What I want to say is the way history is written is wrong. That's clear. There's no way that we can say he died on this day. This is what happened. Here is his body, and
so
that's what
the physical proof is for sure. The woman that head that they were saying was Hitler is definitely not Hitler.
It was absolutely not. That's a fact.
So they don't have Hitler's body.
So then our other option was, okay, is it Ava Brahms? Did they just grab the wrong body? Right. So there are still descendants of Ava, and we tried to have them allow us to do it. Then we tried to go through like, what is it?
And they can get DNA off of the skull?
Yeah.
There's meat on it?
No, it's like a tooth. Yeah.
Okay.
And, but they wouldn't consent to it. So then we tried to do, you know, like where people have like the tree, their ethnic tree.
Yeah.
What is those websites called?
23andMe?
Yeah. There's like a bunch of them.
Right.
We tried to go that route, but
they wouldn't consent to it.
No.
The Ava Brahms family.
No. They just want it gone.
They just don't want to. Yeah.
They're super pissed that we even found them.
I'm sure.
Which was hard. Which was really hard.
Just hold them down, get them to spit in a bucket.
Yeah. I know. I mean, or pull their trash and pull stuff out of there. No, I would totally not do that.
Definitely not do that.
But
I mean, that's how they caught the Golden State Killer, right? It was off of a cigarette butt.
Yeah. They
got DNA off a cigarette butt.
So history's wrong.
Wow.
For it to be black and white like that. And
fuck, man.
And again, if you go back to 1945, we needed scientists. We needed every single German electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, aerospace, anything.
Yeah.
You're on the V2 program. We want all of you because now it's a race. It's a race. We have the bomb. Now we need delivery systems. Now we need to get to the moon. Now we need to, like all of those things are real time. It's a war of dollars and a war of science. And we got all those scientists.
Yeah.
The Russians didn't.
Well, they got some.
Some, not very many.
What they're talking about now is how as soon as the war was ending, the Germans were so far advanced that instead of like executing or throwing their scientists and rock scientists in jail, what happened was the States and Russia started like just taking the best scientists back home, for a deal for immunity, and just because, like I said, one of those scientists was the one that supposedly got the United States to the moon. But he was in charge of the moon program, and he was a Nazi, like super Nazi. Like he was like a big time Nazi. But scientists that America got after the war, Walter von Braun, and he's the one that he was the head of this space program at NASA, and he was the one that got them to the moon. So that was called Operation Paperclip. That's what they're talking about now.
Operation Paperclip was what brought over what Werner von Braun, who was, when you talk to Jews that were in Berlin during the time that Werner von Braun was running his rocket program there, he would hang the 5 slowest Jews.
They certainly don't tell you growing up in high school or going to school that the way they got to the moon was by like getting a top Nazi scientist. And he was in charge of it wasn't even an American that got them to the moon. Like, it was like a Nazi scientist. And it's like, it's just wrong on so many different levels. Like, he should have been in jail or whatever.
Jews in front of the rocket factory in Berlin just to give everybody motivation to work harder.
Yeah.
It was the Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if Werner von Braun was alive today, they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
He was a Nazi, straight up Nazi. And there's apologists that say, no, he was a scientist. He was forced into doing that. Like, that's like, okay. He's a Nazi.
Yeah.
There's photographs of him wearing Nazi garb, hanging out with Nazis. His rocket factory killed Jews. Like, these are all undeniable facts.
Except the war ends and they're not Nazis anymore.
Exactly.
That's not how that works.
Exactly. But they were forgiven because they came over and contributed to our rocket program.
I'm not that good of a human. I don't have that in me. I don't have that like, okay,
It's slippery,
you're forgiven.
man.
Okay, well, that was Hitler conspiracy theory. And we'll watch some more Joe Rogan conspiracy stuff.
The Joe.
If no one wants to. All right. So ta-ta for now. See you on the next video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.